This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Kamala Harris gives her closing argument in the final stretch in the race to the White House.
To be a president for all Americans.
I'm Jim Roope.
Donald Trump rallies in Allentown, Pennsylvania to try and lock down support in the Keystone State. I'm John Stolnis.
Longtime Donald Trump ally Steve Bannon was released from prison after serving a 4-month sentence. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Clues in the investigation at the series of ballot box fires in the Pacific Northwest. We'll have details.
On Wall Street, NASDAQ opens at a record high this morning and consumer confidence soars. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The U.S. High Court responds to a request by RFK Jr.
It's the party of surveillance.
I'm Clayton Neville.
As Halloween approaches, tourists can visit a home with a gruesome past. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Vice President Kamala Harris delivers what has been billed as her closing argument to voters in a speech on the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. Correspondent Jim Roope has the story.
The Ellipse is about 1.5 miles south of the White House in what's known as President's Park and roughly 2 miles from the U.S. Capitol building. It's the same place where Donald Trump addressed the crowd on January 6, 2021. Harris used it as a stage to pitch mostly undecideds and on-the-fence Republicans for their votes. Before getting into why they should vote for her, she told the crowd why they should not vote for Trump.
This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
While she assured those gathered,
I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America.
She also admits,
I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect.
She went on to promise that she will listen to the voters, to experts and advisors, and work to find compromise and reach consensus, as she says, to get things done. She then went on to promise tax cuts for working people and the middle class, keep grocers from taking advantage of consumers.
I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries.
She promises to build more housing, help first-time home buyers with down payments, and go after companies for increasing rents. Also, a child tax credit and lower the cost of child care.
And allow Medicare to cover the cost of home care so seniors can get the help and care they need in their own home.
She says she'd work with Congress to pass the immigration bill that she claims Donald Trump killed, and she'll work to reinstate Roe v. Wade. She promises to fund and build our military. And on foreign policy,
I will strengthen, not surrender, America's global leadership, because I know that our alliances keep American people safe and make America stronger and more secure.
Harris says those in Congress who disagree with her, unlike Donald Trump, she will not consider them enemies.
He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
I'm Jim Roope.
Former President Trump was in the all-important battleground state of Pennsylvania, providing counter-programming to Vice President Harris' D.C. address with remarks of his own in Allentown. John Stolnis has that story.
Kamala's gross incompetence disqualifies her from being President of the United States. She is unfit for office. Everyone knows it.
Trump began his remarks by criticizing Harris's rally at the Ellipse last night.
Today they're busing people. You know, they're in a place in Washington, and they got buses all up. They're busing people because they couldn't get anybody to show up for her tonight. I didn't bus anybody. You're all here. This place is packed.
The former president also doing damage control with regard to the Latino vote following comedian Tony Hinchcliffe's floating island of garbage joke at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday, a rally he described as a love fest.
Nobody loves our Latino community and our Puerto Rican community more than I do. Nobody. You know, it's interesting because I've done more for Puerto Rico than any president by far.
Puerto Rico Senator Zoraide Buxo joined Trump on stage.
We have some unfinished business to do with respect to Puerto Rico. And if there is a leader that can get us to a final resolution, that is you.
Trump also reacted to comments made by President Biden last night in an interview with VotoLatino.org.
They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse.
And while Trump acknowledged he is running against Vice President Harris, he also warned supporters of his perceived threat from what he calls the radical left in America.
We are running against something far bigger and far more powerful and more destructive than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party.
Later today, Trump transitions to the battleground state of Wisconsin, where he'll make remarks in Green Bay, joined by former Packers star Brett Favre. I'm John Stolnis.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? It's the only bed that lets you make each side firmer or softer whenever you want. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. When we return on America in the Morning, it's back to work for a Trump ally freed from prison after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Accumulating snow is a possibility throughout the day on the location. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
On the cold side of a rather strong storm taking shape over the nation's midsection, an organized area of snow is expected to continue to spread some snowflakes over portions of Wyoming, Colorado, and perhaps even Utah early in the day as cooler air filters into even more of the west. However, the risk for at least some snow mixing in with rain showers may extend from parts of northeastern Colorado to northwestern Minnesota today, within a larger zone of showery conditions expected to stretch from the central high plains into the western Great Lakes region, and there can even be some thunder for parts of the upper peninsula of Michigan and eastern Wisconsin. Southward from there lies today's risk for severe thunderstorms as the cold front responsible for some of the cool down in the west blasts into a primed air mass with moist and very warm air well in place from central and eastern Texas into portions of the upper Midwest. This will result in storms that can bring all forms of severe weather, meaning flash flooding, strong winds, hail, and tornadoes from far southern Wisconsin into mainly northern and eastern Texas lasting into the evening hours. East of that front, most areas from the southeast through New England will be dry today, but there can be some lingering showers over mainly eastern Maine early today. In addition, there can be some thunder showers over southern and eastern parts of the Florida Peninsula. In the northwest, a new storm brings periods of steady rain from coastal northern California through central Oregon and Washington, showers a bit farther to the east from there within those same states, and even some snow, especially in the Cascades, the rest of the region looking dry. In Medford, Oregon, periods of rain begin in the afternoon with a high of just 54. For Jackson, Mississippi, warm today as sunshine mixes with just a few clouds, the high 86. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. After 4 months in prison, longtime Donald Trump ally Steve Bannon was released and immediately resumed his full-time duties in support of the former president. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The system is broken. The Bureau of Prisons is broken. This is not about Danbury, not about the individual. Many good individuals working at Danbury Federal Prison. The system of the BOP, the system of the Justice Department is broken.
Bannon left the Federal Correctional Institution in Danbury, Connecticut, and resumed his War Room podcast and online show.
She is failing to connect with minority men. And Nancy Pelosi thought a federal prison was going to break me. Well, it empowered me.
He later held a news conference.
I am more empowered today, more focused today, sharper today, in better shape today than I've ever been in my entire life. So Nancy Pelosi, the desperation of Kamala Harris in her campaign is obvious.
Bannon also reiterated his unfounded claim that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump and said it was crucial that Republicans turn out to vote for Trump as he tries to reclaim the White House. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Investigators looking into the string of ballot box fires in Oregon and Washington state have found devices at each site marked Free Gaza. Police also released surveillance images of a suspect vehicle describing it as an early 2000s Volvo. The Free Gaza message appeared not only on the two devices which were discovered Monday, but also on a device found at a third ballot box this month in Vancouver, Washington. Authorities are trying to determine if the perpetrator was actually a pro-Palestinian activist or someone using that prominent cause to sow discord. While one ballot box had a fire suppressant system, the one in Washington did not, and about 100 ballots were destroyed. McDonald's CEO attempts to quench customer concerns when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. With the Wednesday report on America in the Morning, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed day for stocks yesterday, but the NASDAQ, it's opening this morning at a fresh record high. Gold also hit another record high yesterday. It's 46th of the year. Google parent Alphabet out with better than expected quarterly results last night after the closing bell. Shares were higher in extended trading, popping up nearly 5%. On the flip side, Chipotle, it disappointed in the quarter. Same-store sales came in below estimates. It says ingredients like avocados were more expensive and says usage was higher. Now, after being slammed on social media for smaller portions, Chipotle decided to focus on consistent and generous portions, it says. Consumer confidence is surging as the election nears.
Much, much better than expected at 108.7. That ends up being the best level since January of this year.
CNBC's Rick Santelli, and here's the head of the conference board that does that survey.
The Consumer Confidence Index basically asks people, how are you feeling? And consumers are pretty satisfied and pretty confident that they're going to be able to keep their jobs and continue to move real pay upwards.
The conference board's Steve Odland on CNBC. Job openings in the U.S. hit their lowest in 3 years in the pandemic as they move toward a more normal level. The U.S. had 7.4 million job openings last month in the latest JOLTS report on job opportunity and labor turnover. J.M. Smucker's Uncrustables could soon hit $1 billion in annual sales. And to keep up with demand, the company will open a third Uncrustables plant to make the frozen peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the U.S. next year. McDonald's reported quarterly results yesterday. It did reverse some same-store sales declines in the last quarter, but boy, fallout from the E. coli outbreak looms. McDonald's CEO spoke about the outbreak for the very first time on the earnings call with analysts yesterday. Other people have been doing the talking in the media. CNBC's Kate Rogers was on that call.
CEO Chris Kamczynski addressing the issue right at the top of the call with analysts. It's the first time we've heard from him since this E. coli outbreak last week, telling analysts that the situation appears to be contained, adding the Colorado Department of Agriculture confirmed Sunday they did not detect E. coli from McDonald's beef patties, which supports its own investigation that rules the beef out as the source. Kamczynski adding that he is confident that they can return quarter pounders to menus, which they are set to do this week.
CNBC's Kate Rogers. On today's watch list, we get quarterly results from Facebook parent Meta, Microsoft, Caterpillar, Eli Lilly, and Starbucks.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, a real haunted house. We'll keep an eye out for you when America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. Thanks for listening. The U.S. Supreme Court is weighing in on a request of independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who paused his campaign and backed former President Trump in the race for the White House. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
RFK Jr. wanted his name removed from the ballot in Wisconsin and in Michigan after dropping his independent bid for the presidency and endorsing Trump. Kennedy told Fox News this week that the Democratic Party is the party of war and of censorship.
It's the party of surveillance. It's the party of big tech, big ag, big banking, the military-industrial complex, and big ag and big food and big pharma.
Now, Kennedy argued that keeping him on the ballot violated his First Amendment rights by wrongly implying that he still wanted to be elected president. The High Court, though, rejected his emergency appeal. It didn't give a reason why. I'm Clayton Neville.
It's said to be haunted and has a gruesome past. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on an historic Halloween attraction.
Fall River, Massachusetts is known as the hometown of Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden took an axe. She gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
There was a double murder in 1892. Borden's father and stepmother were brutally killed with an axe. People can tour the Borden home. It's even a bed and breakfast. Richard Sheridan is a tour guide.
I firmly believe they imprinted on the house, and I think it's what you would call a haunting.
There have been movies made about it. Lizzie Borden was tried and acquitted of the murders, despite the strong evidence against her. The case is officially unsolved.
I believe Lizzie did this.
Demand for tours of Lizzie Borden House increase around this time of year. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, October 30th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Donald Trump is celebrating his weekend rally at Madison Square Garden.
An absolute love fest.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Paying close attention to the ballots ahead of Election Day. I'm Clayton Neville.
A frightening experience for hotel guests in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Sue Aller.
A teenager in Colorado is fighting kidney failure after eating McDonald's Quarter Pounders. I'm Ed Donahue.
New York's mayor okay with Trump, and the party's not over for Tupperware.
A preliminary report shares more details on a fiery but safe emergency landing of a Frontier Airlines plane. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Simpsons are coming to Monday Night Football. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. Welcome back. Here with America in the Morning. We could see some thunderstorms fire up today in one particular spot in the nation. With that, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
As a rather powerful disturbance emerges over the center of the nation, a continued flow of strong winds from the Gulf of Mexico will bring in even more warmth and moisture across much of the plains ahead of a potent cold front. As this more active pattern gets underway, thunderstorms can turn severe within a broad zone extending from parts of central Texas to southern Wisconsin through the evening hours. These storms will bring the threat of hail, flash flooding, and even some tornadoes, with the area most likely to have strong thunderstorms, including both Dallas and Kansas City. A broader zone of showers and some thunderstorms is expected to stretch along the very same cold front into places such as southeast Texas and eastern Wisconsin, with some steady rain for a time from Iowa into eastern South Dakota. More showery conditions stretch from northern Minnesota across most of Colorado, and there can be some snow mixed in with those showers in the colder zones from Colorado into western Nebraska, west central South Dakota, and again northern Minnesota. There can be some thunder showers over parts of the Florida Peninsula as well, but most of the rest of the east looks to dry out today behind a storm that finally brought an end to the 29-day streak without measurable precipitation in New York City, at least outside of some showers lingering over Maine for a time today. For the west, the next storm in line pushes on shore today with the usual combination of steadier rain along the coast and snow in the Cascades from Washington to northern California. However, there can be periods of rain even reaching as far inland as central Washington and Oregon as well through the day. There can be some rain or snow showers in northeastern Utah as well, with most of the rest of the west cool and dry for the middle of the work week. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris spent Tuesday making the case as to why they should be president. Harris was in Washington holding a rally outside the White House. Tens of thousands of people attended, giving what she called her closing arguments. Donald Trump traveled to battleground Pennsylvania, where he promoted fracking and protecting the border to rally goers. As Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports, Trump's day started at his Florida home, where he praised his Madison Square Garden rally and deflected away from comments one of the speakers made about Puerto Rico.
Donald Trump is celebrating his weekend rally at Madison Square Garden, one that was marked by crude and racist insults. Trump says there's never been an event so beautiful.
An absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
He's also used love fest to describe the Capitol riot. Speaking today at his Florida resort, Trump did not mention the event's racist comments about Latinos, Jews, Palestinians, or black people, nor sexual insults against Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, nor this.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe's remarks stirred anger among Puerto Ricans in several battleground states. The Trump campaign distanced itself from the joke, but not the other comments. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Less than a week away now from the presidential election, and the voting process is front and center in a number of states and also in the courts. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
In D.C., the U.S. Supreme Court denied independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s request to be removed from the ballot in Michigan and in Wisconsin. He made that request after endorsing former President Donald Trump and with the intent of not taking votes away from Trump in the critical battleground states. In a blow to Republicans this week, the North Carolina Court of Appeals unanimously rejected a Republican bid to have election officials flag overseas ballots cast by people who never resided in the state for additional checks of eligibility. In Pennsylvania, a Trump supporter was arrested and cited for disorderly conduct at a Delaware County polling place.
Basically, it was about, trying to tell people that they shouldn't leave, that they should stay in line no matter what, and then who they should vote for.
Jim Allen's the director of elections in Delaware County and spoke with NBC 10 in Philadelphia.
Park Police approached the person, asked them to follow the rules or leave, and they said they weren't going to leave and they weren't going to stop. So we were charged with disorderly conduct.
And NBC spoke with this woman who witnessed what happened.
She was telling people that was probably about a 2-hour wait at the time and just saying, just stay in line. It's very important. Answering everybody's questions. People were going up to her. It happened literally within like 2 minutes. It just unfolded. They took her.
Also in Pennsylvania, a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by 6 Republican state lawmakers over the state's handling of ballots for military and overseas voters. The judge tossed that suit on procedural grounds. In Virginia, Republicans have asked the Supreme Court to reinstate a purge of suspected non-citizens from voter rolls. A federal judge blocked the purge late last week, explaining that federal law prohibits voter purges within 90 days of an election. I'm Clayton Neville.
A 5-star hotel known for its luxury became a battle zone after a man opened fire and began tossing furniture from the balcony of one of its rooms. Atlanta police and SWAT teams apprehended a barricaded suspect, leaving hotel guests trapped, sheltering in place. More on the story from correspondent Sue Aller.
It was tense. That's what people are saying about the situation at the Four Seasons Hotel in Midtown Atlanta, Georgia. Police say mid-afternoon on Monday, 70-year-old Jay Stevens Berger barricaded himself inside his hotel room and fired multiple shots from his room. This is what it sounded like, courtesy from WXIA TV. This woman told WSB TV2 that she wasn't sure what she heard.
I thought I heard gunshots, and I kind of jumped up, and I looked out the window, and of course the street's full of policemen.
But this lady told 11 Alive TV that she saw the whole incident unfold as it was happening.
We hear the guy still getting more agitated and screaming. Then we started hearing shots.
The incident began with a dispute between Berger and a hotel employee. The Atlanta Police Department and SWAT team responded, ordering a shelter in place and informed hotel guests to stay away from windows and telling them not to leave under any circumstances. No one was seriously injured. However, one police officer was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say eventually Berger surrendered and was taken into custody. I'm Sue Aller.
McDonald's, recovering from that E. coli outbreak involving one of its popular sandwiches, leads to some potentially severe complications. Correspondent Ed Donahue has that story.
Her mom says Camberlyn Bowler ate 3 Quarter Pounders over the course of a week.
For her to eat a hamburger with onions on it was big for her. And that was like the first hamburger she ever ate with onions on it.
A short time later, an E. coli outbreak was linked to Quarter Pounders. Slivered onions on the burgers are the likely source. Bowler came down with a fever.
The next day I started throwing up and having diarrhea.
Originally, doctors thought she just had a stomach bug.
I felt like crap.
But the test came back. It was E. coli.
It's so up and down and crazy everywhere, including acute kidney failure.
Mom Brittany Randall says her daughter's future health and medical costs are uncertain. E. coli produces a dangerous toxin that can cause a severe kidney disease complication. I'm Ed Donahue.
When America in the Morning continues, among the stories we're covering, what New York City's embattled Democrat mayor isn't saying about the Trump rally after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. New York City's Democrat mayor, facing calls for his resignation while under federal indictment, is avoiding criticizing Donald Trump following his Madison Square Garden rally. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
When I'm at these town halls, talking to people there, they're not asking me these silly questions. We are in this bubble. You know, and I know you guys really believe these stories you're writing. It gives you a lot of clicks. It's exciting and give you headlines. But this is not what New Yorkers and Americans are dealing with, folks.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says comments made about Puerto Rico being a garbage island at Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally were wrong, but
you can't demonize an entire population based on the actions of those who attend.
The Democratic mayor pushed back at what he calls silly questions regarding his opinion of the Republican candidate for president.
All that's going on to everyday New Yorkers, we're asking questions that is someone a fascist or is someone a Hitler. That's insulting to me. That is insulting, and I'm not going to engage in that.
Adams also declining to say if he opposes Trump's mass deportation program, fueling speculation. The mayor, indicted on federal bribery charges, is looking for legal protection from the presidential candidate. Julie Walker, New York.
The National Transportation Safety Board is releasing details about a Frontier Airlines plane that made a fiery but safe emergency landing earlier this month. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
An electrical system malfunctioned, the autopilot quit, and some radio communications were disrupted before the plane coming from San Diego made its ablaze landing on October 5th in Las Vegas. No one among the 190 passengers and 7 Frontier crew members was injured. Federal investigators say crew members declared an emergency about 19 minutes before the landing. Witnesses saw flames erupt and tires burst on the Airbus aircraft as it trailed smoke down a runway at Harry Reid International Airport. But the fire was quickly doused by firefighters. I'm Haya Panjwani.
There's concerning news regarding employment. Correspondent Rita Foley has the latest on the job market.
The number of job openings dropped from August to September, from 7.9 million to 7.4 million. That's their lowest level since January of 2021. The number of layoffs rose, and the number of Americans who quit their jobs fell below 3.1 million. That's the fewest since August of 2020, and it's a sign that more people aren't sure they can find better work elsewhere. Analysts with the group High Frequency Economics say the labor market is softer, but it is not imploding. On Friday, experts expect to hear that the unemployment rate remains at a low 4.1%. I'm Rita Foley.
The party is not over yet for Tupperware. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports that a U.S. bankruptcy judge has approved the sale of the iconic food storage brand.
The court's approval of the sale of Tupperware to lenders paves the way for the iconic food storage company to soon exit from Chapter 11 protection, although the transaction is still subject to closing conditions. Under the terms of the deal, a group of lenders will be buying Tupperware's brand name and various operating assets for $23.5 million in cash and more than $63 million in debt relief. After the deal is completed, the brand says it expects to operate as the new Tupperware company. Going forward, customers will still be able to purchase Tupperware products online and through its decades-old network of independent sales consultants. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Elon Musk's Grok AI has been given the ability to see and recognize images to a degree. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech Report.
Social media platform X has a new version of their Grok AI assistant that can actually describe and interpolate a graphic image. The new feature is only available to X Premium subscribers, which now brings Grok into parity with ChatGPT, Gemini, and its other rivals. Where Grok might take a leap forward is with the real-world QA that is supposed to show the ability of Grok to be able to interpolate a real-world image, including the space between objects. Grok is now capable of breaking down a complex multi-stage image and then extrapolate the humor of a joke and describe why it's funny. In theory, Grok's new features could help with Tesla's semi-autonomous driving and would benefit from being able to identify objects and people and how they are spaced apart. It's also not a stretch to assume that the Tesla robots could benefit from Grok's new spatial recognition abilities. Bitcoin soared to over $74,000 today, while Ethereum remained flat at $2,600. Follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Wednesday Sports is in on America in the Morning. Here's Robert Workman.
The Yankees staved off elimination last night, pounding the Dodgers 11-4 in Game 4 of the World Series. Freddie Freeman did that thing again, homering in the first inning to put the Dodgers on top 2-0, his record-setting 6th consecutive World Series game with a home run. But this time, the Yankees had an answer. After scratching out a run in the second, Anthony Volpe hit a grand slam in the third for a 5-2 New York lead. After L.A. pulled within a run in the fifth, Austin Wells put one in the second deck in the sixth, and Gleyber Torres clinched it with a 3-run shot in a 5-run eighth. Game 5 tonight at Yankee Stadium. Game 1 starters Jack Flaherty and Garrett Cole, the mound matchup. 2 fans were ejected from Yankee Stadium after ripping the ball out of the glove of Mookie Betts in foul territory in the first inning. From his house in Florida, Richie Garcia called it a home run. NBA, the Nuggets held off the Nets 144-139 in overtime. Nikola Jokic, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists, his 132nd career triple-double. Mavericks over the Timberwolves, 35 for Kyrie Irving.
It's great if I get a chance to perform at a high level and, the moves that I work on when no one's watching, get to perform them out here. So grateful to win in. My teammates trusted me.
Kings bopped the Jazz. Utah 0-4, one of 2 winless teams remaining along with the Pistons, and the Warriors whacked the Pelicans. NHL, the Wild whipped the Penguins 5-3. Marc-Andre Fleury got the win for Minnesota in what was likely his last game back in Pittsburgh, where he helped the Pens win 3 Stanley Cups. Flyers blanked the Bruins. Samuel Larson made 23 saves. Kraken crushed the Canadiens. Defenseman Brandon Montour with a hat trick. Alex Ovechkin scored twice as the Capitals clipped the Rangers. The Grade 8 now with 857 goals, 37 behind Wayne Gretzky. Elsewhere, the Senators steamrolled the Blues, the Ducks down the Islanders, and the Sharks nipped the Kings. That's Wednesday Sports.
Thanks, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, Homer Simpson tackles football. After these messages. You're with America in the Morning. She starred on the silver screen in movies like Tootsie and on TV shows including Friends. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports on the death of actress Terry Garr.
Sounds like head! Bed! Said! Terry Garr was known for Young Frankenstein. Would you like to have a roll in the hay? It's fun! Roll, roll, roll in the hay! Roll. as well as roles in Oh God, Tootsie, and Mr. Mom.
There's nothing you can do for me. I just have to feel like this until I don't feel like this anymore, and you're going to have to know that you're the one that made me feel this way.
She also had dramatic roles in Close Encounters of the Third Kind and The Black Stallion. Gar became a spokesperson for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society after her diagnosis in 1999.
I saw that there were so many myths about MS, and I thought, well, I'm just going to put a face on it and I'll take the hits from everybody else, because I want people to see that I have MS and I'm okay and I'm alive and I'm functioning and I'm as smart as I ever was. Please don't comment on that.
She said in a 2006 AP interview she could take anything life threw at her, except when people tried to quote the knockers line from Young Frankenstein to her.
Please don't say what knockers to me, and they'll do it every time. I know, a woman will come to me, my husband, he has something to say to you. Go on, honey, say it. And he goes, what knockers? And I don't know what to say. I go,
I'm Margie Zaraletta.
It's football like we've never seen it before. Kevin Carr reports that Fun Day Monday Night Football is coming soon to Homer's town of Springfield.
Some new talent is coming to Monday Night Football this December.
Who's ready for some football? Football!
ESPN and Disney are working together for a second Fun Day Football event on December 9th. Last year, a game was mirrored directly from Andy's room in the Toy Story universe.
A game that will also be played in the Toy Story world of Andy's room.
That Fun Day Football was a huge hit, winning 3 Emmys. This year, the tradition continues, but this time it will feature America's favorite animated family, The Simpsons.
Now stay tuned for 6 hours of exciting football action.
Well, bye-bye belt. The Cincinnati Bengals will face off against the Dallas Cowboys for Monday Night Football, and the game will be mirrored on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. It will be animated in real time at the Adams Stadium in Springfield for an immersive experience.
You mowed down all that corn to build a football field.
You just don't understand football, Marge.
Homer will cheer on the Cowboys while Bart hypes the Bengals.
It's not the Dallas Cowboys, but it's a start.
Maggie will pilot the Skycam while Marge and Lisa will be on the sidelines to interview players.
Well, football's not really my thing.
Other Simpsons characters with the original voice actors will also appear.
Congratulations, the rest of you made the team.
The Simpsons Fun Day Football event will take place on Monday, December 9th, starting at 8 p.m.
It's Bart and the Bengals versus Homer and the Cowboys, live from Springfield.
Promo.
I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, October 30th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.